to use an image as a source for a pattern in Photoshop. Now I'm going to use that image. It was created in Poser. First thing to do, I'm just going to go to Edit menu and Define Pattern. So that image is defined as a pattern. Clearly it's not a pattern, but it can be used as a pattern. What you can also do is you can go to Select All and you can copy that. You can copy that design and then paste it, create it as another layer, go to the background layer, obviously the original image, and what you can then do is you can fill it with white or maybe black, a solid colour, or maybe a pattern. Now what you can do with that original image that's on that layer, you can resize it. So you've got a border around it. There's other ways, of course, of creating a border, but this is the way I often use to create a border. And press return. So what you can then do, of course, you can go to Edit menu and define that as a pattern as well. Because there's no way, unfortunately, in the pattern feature, the pattern layer, to add a border. Be nice if there was, but you can't. So you have to do it beforehand. Again, make certain you press return, otherwise some of the menu functions are not available. Edit, and again, define it as a pattern. And you can see now you've got even more of a border. Now you could of course do that multiple times. You maybe create 2 or 3 images within the design and define that as an image as well. What you can do is view and go to View and New Guide Layout and go with 10 and 10. And it just makes it easier to do the selection. So I've just created a quick selection there using the rectangular marquee tool. And what you can then do is you can go to, of course you could use Edit and Fill, but that is fixed. A much better approach is to go to the Layer menu and create a new pattern layer. So Layer and a New Fill Layer and go to Pattern. Press OK. And then you can see your design. And of course you can see the one that's I just created. Well, there's the one, the earlier one. And it can be made to fill. And of course you can vary the scale. So it might not exactly match your selection. And if you want it not to have any edge around it, you can of course move the layer. You can reposition it. You can also use the scale, maybe set it scale at 102, 103. Just scale it up to slightly so you get rid of any potential duplication. Sadly, there's no feature to stop that duplication in the patterns. There's no zero feature where you just get the one item. Like 102. So if you've got 102%, it fills the entire selection. Now that's a layer. You can see over in the Layers panel. You can find that via the Window menu and Layers. Now you can, of course, select another part. You don't have to select a quarter. You could just select maybe a very tiny slither. Then what you can do, go to a Layer menu and again go down to New Fill Layer and Pattern. Sadly, the preview never shows it until you've actually clicked OK there. And then you can see your design there. And again, what you can do, you could use that pattern. That one is one with a border, and you can see the border around it. So they're separated. There's a gap between them. Now, another way you could do this is using the Edit menu and with Layers, of course. You could use Edit menu and fill with maybe the brick fill. And then, because that's got a gap feature, so you could space things. But I always find the preview a bit fiddly to work, so I think I find it easier just to use this approach. But each to their own. What you can do, again, you can align it, and you've still got that gap. Now, you can't modify the gap. The gap is frozen, obviously, when you've defined it. But you can move them around and reposition them. And you can still continue to move them if you wish. But now you can see you've got 8 images there. Again, you can create another selection, and then what you can do, you can go to Edit menu and Fill again if you wish, or you could go to Layer and New Fill Layer and Pattern. Again, create a new layer. These are all layers. You can see over the Layers panel, you've got a layer. And of course, you could choose maybe the one that's the without a border, or one with maybe a bigger border. And again, what you can do, you can position it and you can set the scale. Maybe go for 25. But again, you can see it's slightly misaligned there. Oops, don't want to move the guide. So if you go to there, but you've got the bottom is duplicated where you don't particularly want it. So I'd say about 27% should work. So just change the scale a bit, 27, 26, 27. And you shouldn't get the bottom thing. You might get the top one. And so you just have to a little bit experiment, move it, shift it slightly, and then you will get a design with only those pictures in that design. And then once you've happy aligned it, click OK. And you can repeat that over and over again. Maybe go for another one, say fill it all with the image, and maybe make it very small, 10% of the original size. Again, go to Layer menu, New Fill Layer and Pattern. Click OK. Another option you could do, of course, is also you could use maybe layer styles. That's another way of doing it, because that's got a pattern feature. Now I've got the complete image there, but again, what I can do, maybe I could make it 200. Say you want to zoom in a bit, make it 150. So make it a bit closer. So you can use it to zoom into a picture. Or of course, go the other way. You could go for like 10% and make them very tiny. If you go for 400%, you might end up seeing some imperfection. So it's probably best just to keep it like 200%, but you can zoom in on particular things. So now you've got your wonderful contact sheet, and you can, of course, continue to modify this design in numerous ways. It's very, very flexible. Then you go to Layer menu, and again, New Fill Layer, and you can do exactly the same. Maybe set that to 25, and again, shift it. Or make it smaller at 10. And again, move it. Now again, you'll see you've got too much at the top and you've got that at the bottom. Just push it in the center. Maybe set it to 12%. And you can always go back to this. So suddenly if you look at it later and you think, oh, I've just suddenly noticed I've actually got some of the other pattern, the design, slightly over the edge. You can always go back and edit it. It's editable, it's live. So you can go back and change it to 11% or 12% and just align it again, slightly better. Because I often make mistakes. I make a mistake and I look at it later. I think, oh, suddenly spot an error there. I never get it right 100% first time around. Click OK. And of course, what you can also do, you can apply effects to them. Of course, you can also, at this point, remove. If you don't want the thing, you can go to View menu and clear the guides. So you can see you can create an image with all these pictures. And again, you can go to any of those designs, any of those layers. So I'm going to go to one of those and I can modify it. Say that one. What I can do is go down there it is. And I can go to maybe turn it into a smart object. Layer menu, smart objects. And as a smart object, what I can do, I can apply effects to it. Maybe oil paint, stylize oil paint from the filter menu. Or maybe go to image menu and adjustments. And I can use hue and saturation. So I can recolor it slightly. Make it purple or green, something out of Wicked. Or you can invert it. And of course, as it's a smart object, any effects, filters or adjustments applied can be removed and changed at any later point. So I could invert it. And of course, once you've happy with the whole thing, what you can do, you can go to Layer menu and you can flatten the layer. If you're not happy with that, of course, just change it. And you can change any of the others as well. If you look at it and think, I don't want that design in that one, you can always go and double click on it and change the pattern. Or you can, of course, just do an undo and invert. Or you can go to the filter menu. Stylize, as I mentioned, oil paint. One of my favourites. So you can just add an oil paint effect to it. Of course, if you've got other filters, maybe you've got some lovely paint-in filters or something that can be applied, you could create maybe a set of images that are like showing ink or whatever designs. And so the layers are still editable at this point. I haven't flattened it, but if I want to flatten it, just go to Layer menu and Flatten Image. And then they're all frozen. But they're all editable at this point. And again, I can change the pattern. So maybe I don't want that face. Maybe I want someone else's picture there. I can go and change it because it's in that pattern preset, and I can always add more images to that pattern presets. I'm flattening the image now. Hope you found this of interest. Please subscribe to the Graphic Extra channel. Always any new tutorials about Photoshop, Illustrator and many others. Please add some comments, always appreciated. A dislike or like. Thank you much.